Welcome to Killer Women with your host, best-selling author Danielle Girard. And now, Danielle's next killer woman.
Hello, and welcome to Killer Women Podcast, a proud member of the Authors on the Air global network with more than 4 million listeners. I am your host, Suspense author Danielle Girard, and my guest today is Elise Hart Kipness. Elise is a former television sports reporter turned thriller writer. Lights Out is based on her experience in the high-pressure, adrenaline-pumping world of live TV. Like her protagonist, she chased marquee athletes through the tunnels of Madison Square Garden and stood before glaring lights reporting to national audiences. In addition to reporting for Fox Sports Network, Elise was a reporter at New York's WNBC-TV, News 12 Long Island, and the Associated Press. She is currently co-president of Sisters in Crime Connecticut, as well as a member of Mystery Writers of America and International Thriller Writers. A graduate of Brown University, Kipness lives on a hobby farm in Stamford, Connecticut, with her family, 3 labradoodles, chickens, ducks, and 1 very cantankerous turkey.
Yes.
I love it. Welcome, Elise.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, it's so cute. Before we started this, Elise was like, this is my first podcast. And I'm like, okay, well, meanwhile, like we're in a hotel. I don't have I forgot my paperwork. And she's like, you're making me really comfortable right now. Because I am
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's me that's being discombobulated today and not Elise. She's fabulous. So, okay, Elise, I feel like my camera wasn't wide open. There we go. Tell us, welcome, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
And we're at BoucherCon, which is the World Mystery Convention.
Yes.
In San Diego, which is gorgeous because I don't know about you, but Montana's starting to get a little nippy. So this is like so fun to be here.
It is gorgeous outside, and it's been fun to like sneak out and walk around here.
Sit by the pool and have a I had a margarita yesterday.
Yes.
That was really, really fun. So
Yeah,
so welcome. So tell us about, I almost called it timeout. Tell us about Lights Out.
So Lights Out is, because of my background that you were talking about, I was a TV sports reporter and I wanted to write something that I knew about. So I created a character, Kate Green, who is a sports reporter, but like where I'm a soccer mom, she's way cooler than me. She's a former soccer gold medalist, where I chase my dogs around the yard. She chases murderers. And the book is about her. She lives in Greenwich, Connecticut, but for those of you who don't know Greenwich, Connecticut, it's like the Beverly Hills of the Northeast. It's very posh. And she's definitely much more modest in that town. And an NBA player that she had covered is murdered in his mansion. The police start to investigate and they focus in on Kate's best friend, who's Kurt's widow. And Kurt is the NBA player. He's like a LeBron James type of player. So big time, national press. And Kate starts to investigate because she doesn't believe that her friend could not murder someone. Meanwhile, Kate's life is spinning out of control. Her teenage twins are facing their demons. Kate has been suspended from her job. The New York Post page 6 is all after her for something I'm not going to tell you.
Right.
And her NYPD estranged father gets put on the case. So
yeah, Liam, I love when Liam shows up. Liam is definitely, she does not have good feelings towards Liam. There was kind of some stuff that happened when she was young, and her ex is in like she's at divorce, and her ex, she really is. I mean, I am like, oh my God, poor Kate. She needs a vacation. I hope she gets a vacation after this, which I'm guessing she does not. But
she does not.
Okay, so tell us, like, this is your debut novel, which is so exciting.
Thank you.
It's so exciting.
Thank you.
So tell us like a little bit about the process of publication, if you don't mind sharing, because I know we have lots of aspiring authors who listen. So was this the first book you wrote? Were there other books? Tell us about that.
I mean, if you're out there and you are trying to write a novel, then listen to my story because I can give you encouragement. I started this book 10 years ago. And I went to Pitch Fest in 2014. And, I had some interest in everything. And for those of you who don't know Pitch Fest, it's like speed dating, but you're pitching agents.
Yeah.
And
it's at Thriller Fest
It's
every
at
year
Thriller Fest.
in New York City. Yeah.
And I got a lot of feedback, and I didn't get an agent. And I literally sent out 163 queries between then and 2022. And I was ready to give up, actually. And a friend of mine who's also an author, Tessa Weger.
Yeah, who's a good friend of ours. Yeah. Hi, Tessa.
Hi, Tessa. She's like, no, she had read it. You have to try one more time. You have to go to Pitch Fest. And I found an agent, and then I got the deal after that, came pretty quickly with Thomas and Mercer. But you have to keep going.
Yeah.
That would be my advice. But also really take the feedback that people give you seriously, because my book wasn't ready and I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So it's the same book rewritten probably 10 times.
Of course. Yeah.
And I really learned a lot. Find community, I would say, and all these great organizations. Search out friends and writing groups, because if it's not ready, it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not done.
Yeah. Yeah. And you rewrote the same book. And I often tell people too, that there's a point at which you can set that book aside and write something different and just know you're going to get better with each draft. I didn't have the patience to work on like the same book. I was like, oh God, I'm so sick of this book. I want to kill everybody in it. So and that's frowned upon in the genre if everybody at the end of the book is dead. So,
right.
So I ended up writing a different one, but yeah, I think that's amazing. And you did it. And it's like quitters don't get you just can't quit. If you really want it, you cannot quit. So you pitched in 2014 and you got your agent in 2022.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is a big deal. And she's wonderful. You love her, right, Liza?
I do. Liza Fleissig of Liza Royce Agency. And yes, I feel so supported by her.
When you find that person who champions you, it's so exciting.
It's so great.
And then who's your editor at
Liz Pearson?
Yeah, I love Liz too.
She's great.
I saw her. She's here.
Yeah.
This is so fun. So I already mentioned this, we're at the World Mystery Convention, but it's this time when this is unlike Thriller Fest, which is just authors and aspiring authors. The World Mystery Convention, BoucherCon, named after Anthony Boucher, who was the first sort of reviewer of mysteries and thrillers in any real, newspaper. It's not a real newspaper. What do you call them? Anyway, a syndicated newspaper. It's in different place every year, and we get readers. So it's like it's a bunch of authors, and there's also a ton of readers, and then publishers and some agents and all the sort of sizes. So it's really fun, and we get together and be rowdy and and act not our age, but it's super fun. So you have and it's a 2-book deal. So there's another. I noticed that when I looked at Amazon, it says, I love when it says Kate Green book 1, because then when you fall in love with Kate, there's going to be a book 2, which is super exciting. So tell us about your process, because obviously the process for writing this book was really different over 10 years, and the process for writing book 2. So that's oftentimes like a really hard thing to get used to, is when you've had all this time to write, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, your next book is due 9 months.
It was due 2 days ago. I turned it in from here. So that was very challenging and nerve-wracking, but also exciting. I feel like I feel very lucky that I have the problem.
Of course,
so
right.
No complaining. I think where the difference came was the first book was really like going to school to get a PhD.
Right.
And there was so much I didn't know. I knew how to write 1 page.
Right.
And as a reporter, you would tell people who, what, where, when, why. So there was no suspense in my first draft, which is so bad.
You need to have that, right?
You need to have that. And it's great to lie and mislead. And back in the day when I was doing news, you didn't want to do that.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe
that's changed. Right. Exactly.
But so I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of mistakes. And then I realized I had to be very deliberate about my time with the second book. And so it's funny, I always thought I was an outliner till I sat on a panel with people who consider themselves pantsers versus plotters. And I realized, oh, I don't have a 20-page outline. I'm not really, but I knew my twist. I knew my ending for the second book, and I knew the red herrings and I knew the clues.
Well, there you go.
And
it's enough to kind of
outlined it.
Right.
And the secondary, Liam plays a big part.
Her dad. That's
the dad.
The estranged
in the
NYPD
in the second book. And then I was just very deliberate. And I never wrote this like for this long. It really is a muscle, right?
Yeah.
Like for the first book, an hour here, an hour there. But it was like 8 hours at a time.
It was like all of a sudden it was like a job.
It was a job. And I had to keep telling my kids, like, no, I can't run your cleats down half an hour and drive back. Like I have a deadline.
Right.
I can't.
Yes, it's an adjustment for the whole family, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Like they're like, what do you mean you're not free to do this errand for me?
Exactly. Exactly. That's good for them.
Unspoil them a bit. But it was stressful.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
I turned it in. 2 days ago.
And how do you feel?
I really like this one. In some ways, I kind of like it better in a way because this one takes the reader into Kate's past. There are flashbacks into it. So you really get to know her.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like cool because I was getting to know something and do something. I have a title.
Oh, tell us.
Yeah, it's Dangerous Play.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
And it takes place at a fictional Olympics in New York City. And she's covering soccer, women's soccer.
Because she's ex-soccer.
An ex-gold medal soccer player.
Wow.
And so she knows the people. She's very connected to the story personally and the murder.
I love that. How did you get into sports reporting?
It's such a weird path.
I mean,
right?
it's just like, you just sort of confessed you're not like like you weren't like a power athlete or were you? Okay. So tell us.
No, my pathway was very unusual and not really charted in that direction. I always wanted to be a reporter and I wanted to be a news reporter. And I was. I started in college. My first job was for minimum wage nights working at a radio station this big, but that I love, WNBH, if you're there. In New Bedford, Massachusetts, covering school board meetings.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And it was great. It was great. And then I had some other jobs. I worked for the Associated Press. And then I got very lucky and got into WNBC covering news. So most of my career was actually as a news reporter.
Okay.
And then I had an offer to cover a news story for sports. I was offered to cover the NBA lockout for Fox Sports Network. Mm-hmm. And it just really clicked. Mm-hmm. I think at that point in my life, I had covered, and I think this is why I'm writing thrillers versus a different genre. I had covered so much trauma.
Yeah.
Like Flight 800 crash and trials, like the Long Island Railroad Massacre trial, Joel Rickett. Every day I covered something very depressing and upsetting. And I remember my mom even saying, like, you really are down a lot. And
of course, how would that not impact you, right? All that stuff.
Yeah, because every day
there's always some
the reality
bad news, right?
Was something. So when I had the opportunity to do sports, I just clicked with them. And then I started covering games. I started covering the NBA, and my producer had to carry a milk crate around because I was going to say,
I was going to point out that this is not a particularly tall woman sitting beside me. I mean, I'm short and you're short.
I'm shorter. I'm 5 feet. And, I mean, even athletes who don't need to be tall for their profession, like baseball players and stuff, I still needed a height boost.
Yeah.
But for the NBA, they would carry a milk crate and, I'd still be like this. But it was so much fun. And so when I started writing, I really wanted to go back to that world.
Yeah. How long did you do that?
I did that for about 3 years.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
fun. And did they tease you, the players?
Yeah, I have to say, I would say 90% of my experience was really good.
Yeah.
In general, being in the television industry back then as a woman had a lot of challenges. And I don't think it was worse in sports than it was as a news reporter.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of what you read out there, you know, it's true. Like it was hard.
Yeah.
And I was we'd be in a locker room, because I did go into locker rooms.
Yeah.
And there'd be 40 men and 3 women.
Right.
I forgot your question.
I was just saying, like, were the players fun? Were they like, did they, you know?
So I'll tell you a funny story.
Yes.
Okay. So Shaquille O'Neal, right?
Yes.
I'm interviewing him. And for some players who are that tall, I made them sit.
Yeah.
Because even, 2 milk crates.
Right.
And he's such a goof. So I didn't realize this at the time, but like I do my interview, like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then I look in the camera and wrap it up, and he's right behind me. And he was making faces the whole time, like putting his fingers up or like that.
And you're talking to somebody else.
And I'm like talking to the camera, and he's behind me just making faces.
And you can't do anything. You just have to go.
No.
You can't be like,
and I put it in the book.
Oh.
I don't know. It might have been in the second book, but no, like they liked it, at the station.
Of course, they're just.
But yeah, they were
fun.
really goofy, and
It's such a fun sport. I mean, I just say, like, the professional sports, hockey's up there, but basketball's, it's just fun. They move so fast. I'm not like I'm also like, I'm not a person who watches football, but I do enjoy watching the basketball players because they just move so fast, and seeing them in live is fun. I've done it a couple times. It's amazing. I've never been that close.
Yeah, no,
that close.
Right, that close. Looking up.
That's just a cool experience.
Yeah, it was really fun. Like it's amazing how human, and it sounds so obvious, but like how down to earth a lot of them are. Right. And I'll tell you another story.
Yeah.
So I covered the US Open, which I loved a long time ago. It was when Venus Williams was in the finals and she beat Serena Williams. And
that's a cool one.
That was a cool one. And Fox Sports and a couple of the other stations, we were given rooms to have one-on-one interviews with whoever won. I was 8 months pregnant.
Oh.
And Venus Williams walks in and she looks at me. She just won the US Open.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you're pregnant. Did your feet get very swollen?"
Oh, cute. Like, she's making conversation.
Wanted to know. And she was talking to me. I'm like, "You just won the US Open.
Right.
And
that's cool.
I just like, she's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
She's so down to earth and so nice, and what a champion, what an example for everybody. She was so concerned about her sister. Yeah. She's like, every time Serena made a mistake, I was like, I want to win, but I'm also like, you can do better, Serena.
Yeah. What a fun moment in history to be a part of. That's so cool. And be 8 months pregnant. Yeah. Did your feet get very swollen? That's so cute.
It was.
Well, I love that. I love it. And what an incredible, it's like just a really an interesting and unique job, especially like, I think, like you said, for women, it's just, it's probably rare. I mean, I have a friend who did an interview for ESPN, like sort of out of college, and that she was like, this trivia that you need to know, like, she obviously did not. She was like, I don't know who won the 1969 World Series and by how many points, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. So, but it's a really cool, and it's so fun that you're using it for Kate. So you've got the next, do we know when the next book's coming out? Don't you hate when people are like, I had this, now I have a book coming out, now you want to talk about when the next book? But probably sometime.
I think it's in the fall of 24, but I don't have a date. Yeah.
And this book is out on
November 1st.
That's so exciting. Do you have a copy of it?
I have a bookmark.
Well, let's at least show the fabulous cover. I
do love my cover. Here, let me see if I have it here.
I'm sure we
Here
do.
we do. Here.
Oh, good. Yes. It's a beautiful cover. I know. I love this. So there it is. It's kind of hard to see in this weird light we're in, but they did a great job with that. And that's the mansion house that Yvette and her now deceased husband
Yes,
lived in. They have a
that's
very
their
fancy house.
They do.
And like you said, Kate is sort of like, shoestringing it a bit with her divorce and her rocky career. It's fun. It's fun to be sort of to have her be the underdog in the town too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I try to really show the layers of Greenwich, like not do a hit job, like, oh, it's like this affluent place and like look very, but there are a lot of different enclaves in there and different communities. And while Kate is in a small house, she's in a very cute little
I'm sure it's a beautiful house. It's not
like Victorian kind of historic society place near town, but no, it's definitely not that it's beautiful, but it's like it is a community that's in Greenwich, like it's kind of you portray it for like the way it really is, which is fun. If you don't know Greenwich, I thought it gives you a good idea. I mean, I don't know that. I know Greenwich, of course, having heard of it, but not know it. So I appreciated learning about it from Kate. So that's so fun. So it's do you have big plans for your launch day? I'm going to be at Mysterious Bookshop in New York.
Fun.
And then the next day in Greenwich at Athena Bookshop. So the two places that the book takes place, New York and Greenwich, I'm doing a 1-2.
So fun.
Launch. Yay.
So fun. Yes. Well, there is nothing like the debut. Like there's nothing like the feeling of holding your book in your hands for the first time. So enjoy every moment of that, because I'm sure you'll get a big revision. Every revision letter I've ever gotten is big. So I'm just saying from my experience. I mean, I'm sure it'll be minimal, but it'll also be
it'll be big.
Exactly. So I'm so excited. Thank you for joining me on Killer Women. And I'm really excited to hear about the next book and all your success. And now we get to go and sit by the pool.
Yay.
Well, this has been Killer Women with Elise Hart Kipness, talking about her debut novel, Lights Out. I'm Danielle Gerard, and we will see you next time. Bye.